guys, what's up and welcome to another episode of the Goodcast Show. So my guest today is a prolific writer in Bahasa Malaysia since 1992, and some of his writings have been actually translated into English, Tamil, Mandarin and even German. His stories has been translated into Tamil for Thendral magazine and Vanampadi newspaper. He is the author of over 25 books and has written exclusively and extensively on topics including language, culture, literature, politics and religion. In 1999, my guest founded Kavian Writers Groups, and since 2009, he's been a columnist for various newspapers and online news portals. He's also been presented with the Ambassador for Peace Award by the Universal Peace Federation South Korea in 2008. In February of 2023, the Hindustan Art and Music Society from India conferred him with the Saraswati Saman Award. Today, we are here to discuss his book, The Painted Cat. Interesting title, and we will get into that. What does that title mean? And which basically this book is a collection of stories that explore different themes, particularly within the Indian diaspora. I have read this book, and I loved the stories here because they are very brave and true depictions and even analysis of themes that occur in our daily lives in every household. If you want to get the book, we'll be sharing the links in the description. And if you want to get in touch with the author, we'll be sharing his links as well. So you can share your thoughts and comments about the book and get a copy. He's one Indian author that we should all celebrate for his amazing and brave work. So please welcome my guest, the controversial and what he claims and he calls himself arguably the most hated Malaysian writer, Mr. Uthaya Sankar. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Vinod. Good morning.
Thank you for being on the podcast. So let's get to it. On the book, it says Uthaya Sankar SB, arguably the most hated Malaysian writer. Why are you arguably the most hated Malaysian writer?
Okay, I had to put the disclaimer there, arguably, because I don't have 100% proof, data. But then it so happens that everyone or every community has a reason to hate me. For example, the Malays dislike me because I write articles about the Malayness. The Muslims hate me because I used to write about Quran and Islam before I was detained by Bukit Aman in April 2022. The Tamil people dislike me because I say that I'm not a Tamil, which is a fact. Those who go to Tamil school don't like me because I write critical articles about Tamil schools. The Malayalis don't like me because I'm a Malayali who doesn't speak Malayali. But I always say that, yes, on my birth certificate it says I'm a Malayali. The Chinese, the Chinese love me.
So there we go, at least somebody does. Okay, so that is why you're arguably the most hated Malaysian writer.
Yes.
Now, let's go into those things that you just mentioned.
Okay.
You were detained. Can you explain why and that whole thing happened way back in 2022?
Wow, interesting. The whole experience is detailed in my blog. Everything is there. All the newspaper clippings are there for everybody to read. But just to recall, it was a funny incident. Two guys from Bukit Aman came to my house in the morning. They showed me there's some posting that you made on Facebook. I was wondering which one. Then he showed me that particular one, and I said, okay, this one. I was thinking this one. I've written so many others. Then they said, okay, we need to take you to the nearest police station, Taman Sri Muda, just to ask a few questions. And me being me, I said, am I under arrest? Of course, adakah saya ditahan? And that guy, Satis Kumar, said, no, just some questions. Then on the way, he was asking me, who are you, what do you do, writer, how much do you make? Then he started calling his the IO in Bukit Aman, hey, dia penulis lah, he's a writer lah. He's written a lot in Malay lah. Then he took me to Taman Sri Muda and said, we need to take you to Bukit Aman. And all this while, I was updating my Facebook status, saying that, okay, I'm being taken to Bukit Aman. Now I'm being taken to Taman Sri Muda police station, then to Bukit Aman. By the time I reached Bukit Aman, the press already knew. There was already news in Malaysia Kini, the Bahasa version, the English version, and Chinese version, saying Uthaya diangkut Bukit Aman. And this guy, the Indian guy who took me, sudah masuk berita lah. And I was there sitting and I kept asking, adakah saya ditahan? Just to clarify, I was on my phone, updating, sharing the news. Then they were questioning me about that particular post, which they claim menghina Nabi. Because I quoted hadis sahih, hadis sahih al-Bukhari. Then among the standard questions were, are you Muslim? No. What do you do? I'm a writer. Are you in any political parties? I said, no, you can kill me if I'm in any political parties. Then, are you associated with any groups? I said, no, I'm only in a writers group, Indian writers who write in Bahasa. What do you write? Where do you write? Blah, 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 blah. Where did you work? I said, RTM, blah, blah, blah. I was a lecturer, everything. Lah. Then, this particular hadith, where did you get it from? From the Hadith Sahih al-Bukhari. What is the title of the book? I was thinking, can I say you are stupid? I was thinking, of course I can't say that. I said, well, the title of the book is Hadith Sahih al-Bukhari. I had the whole collection in my house, including Quran in various languages and Hadith Sahih al-Bukhari, all the six hadiths complete. But you can't find it now because it's all destroyed in the flood. Because December 18, 2021, my house in Taman Sri Muda was also submerged under of the flood. So I said, you can go now, but you can't find it. But this is all based on what I've read. Then I was detained. I spent one night in Dangwangi. I was supposed to be taken elsewhere. Later, the next day, my lawyer told me that, well, they brought you here because they were afraid the press will be outside the police station when you're taken to court, but nobody was there. Who cares anyway? Mm-hmm. So the next day, Bukit Rahman wanted to detain me for 6 days, remand, but the judge said, no, 1 day is enough because I've answered all the questions. So they took my phone. They kept it for 2 years, almost 2 years. I kept sending messages every year to ask for updates. No, we are still investigating. So after 2 years, they returned my phone, and the IO said it's no further action, like NFA. That's it. They couldn't prove that Hadith Sahih degrades Nabi Muhammad, which is fairly. Like, if it does, then you're in big trouble. Not me. You are in a big trouble. Not you. I mean, the Muslim community is in big trouble.
Now, so then you are an author. You have written many books. Yeah. You have also received awards as a result of your writing. Mm-hmm. But let's go back to the early parts first. So what made you become a writer? Because before you just answer the question, there is a story here. I don't know whether it's true or how true it is, but there's a story of a boy who is so excited that this Dato is coming to his town. He loves writer and all that. So is that you? I mean, when did this passion for writing start?
Well, my name is also mentioned there as a writer in that, so it can't be. Anyway. Okay, for that particular story, I was in University Malaya, studying in University Malaya. I followed one MIC leader, of course, Ami Velu. I was following all his activities, all his literary events for about 3 years. I was meeting Tamil writers for that 3 years before I wrote that story. To make sure that if anybody were to question or anybody were to make a master's thesis based on that story, they can say, yes, it's true. So it does combine my experiences in there. Since I don't know any other Indian writers at that time who write in Bahasa Malaysia. So it talks about the scenario of Tamil writers in Malaysia, how it's very much connected with the political scenario, and how once you're a MIC politician or any Indian politician, you're automatically a literary man. You can come up with your verses, you can sing on stage, and everybody will applaud you. And then when you have an Indian writer who writes in Bahasa Malaysia, it's like, what? So it's also based on my experience. It's a collective experience which I imagine what could happen in the future.
But why an author?
Oh, back to my story.
Yeah,
Okay. You see, wow, I come from a very poor family where we cannot afford storybooks. It's never in the list. You can't afford storybooks. I was studying my primary school. Interestingly, it's a convent school, SRK Convent Aulong. There are 2 convent schools in Malaysia, one in Taiping, Aulong Taiping, and one in Cameron Highlands, which is a co-ed. So
I did not know such school exists. Yeah.
See, you learn something new every day. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Uthaya.
So when I tell people I'm from convent, what? Yes, I'm from convent. I'm proud to say I'm from Convent Aulong. So it's a very small missionary school with a very small library with very little book in Bahasa and English. And I loved reading. I read almost all the books in that small library. You see, what I found was, as a kid, if I were to read a book in Bahasa Malaysia, if I read 10 books, I'm reading the same stories again and again, retold by different writers in a different way. But when I read 10 stories in English, I'm actually reading 10 different stories, which gives me 10 different experiences. Then my secondary school was Sekolah Menengah Darul Ridwan, a very unknown school in Taiping. People talk about St. George's, King Edward VII, but not Darul Ridwan. It has a bigger library with more books. So it was like heaven for me. I used to borrow books every day until the library, Encik Hamid used to ask me, you betul-betul baca? Are you really reading the books? Which actually I did.
So that means you would borrow the book and then finish it, and the next day another book.
Day,
My goodness, a book a day.
Yeah, why not?
Wow. Okay.
Well, a book a day keeps the what away. So I love reading. And then the same scenario actually happened. I said, I'm reading Bahasa stories written by Malays about the Malays, which only caters for the Malays. But I didn't know any writers. I can't go and tell them, hey, please write about other people, write about us, the minorities. So I said, rather than complaining to nobody, since I didn't know anyone, I started writing my own stories. I wrote, I gave it to my friends who say, oh, very nice, very nice. My teachers loved it. I was very lucky because I had a Tamil teacher, an English teacher, my Bahasa teacher, who were very supportive. And at school magazine, you'll see my articles stories, articles and poems in Tamil, Bahasa Malaysia, and in English published. After that, in 91, it so happened there was an event in Taiping where one guy, Irahim Abdullah from DBP was there for the book fair. I was there emceeing a event, a poetry reading competition. So I asked him, I like writing, what can I do? So he said, hantarlah, send it to me, I'll see what to do. The time no email, okay? Send it by post. I was expecting him to correct it and send it back to me, which he did not. But he gave it to a committee in Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka who runs Minggu Penulis Remaja for the young writers, emerging writers. So I was invited there. I was surprised because usually you must have had your stories or poems published in Dewan Siswa before you get an invitation. I'm not a published author. But this guy said, I was surprised to see an Indian writing in good Bahasa, which is a surprise to me. I'm a Malaysian man. So I attended that. That's when I met people whom I learned from before, like Osman Puteh was my guide, who was training us in the writing field. I've read his books before. I was learning from his books. Now I'm learning directly from him. He was very supportive. Samad Said was there. He was also very supportive. Mostly, they said that we want Indians who can write about Indians. We don't want Indians writing about Malays. I mean, we already have too many stories about Malays written by the Malays. So I got a niche there, the gap. I was able to fill the gap. Of course, we had a few other writers at that time. A few two lah. We had Saroja Devi Balakrishnan and M. Balachandran from Bentung. They were already writing that time, but very little. So when I went in, I started writing a lot. So many to the extent that people got so fed up, they said we have to stop him.
That's too much.
Yeah, that happened in 1998 when in 1999 when Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka decided, Uthaya, we won't publish your books if you use the term Bahasa Malaysia. Welcome to Malaysia.
Why is that?
They said, no, Bahasa Malaysia doesn't exist.
It's
you
Bahasa
must
Melayu.
use the Bahasa Melayu. I said, well, I was born in 1972. The term Bahasa Malaysia was introduced in 1970. So it was there when I was born. I've been using Bahasa Malaysia since I was born. So I said, okay, for 3 years, I won't send anything to DBP. After 3 years, they contacted me and said, Uthaya, 3 tahun gone already, so please. So I made a deal that if I use the term Bahasa Malaysia in my articles, you must publish it that way. If I use the term Bahasa Melayu, you must publish it that way. So I continued writing until the good day in 2021 April, DBP made a statement that the term Tuhan with a capital T for God, can only be used if the writer is a Muslim and they are referring to Allah. If you're a non-Muslim, you cannot use the term Tuhan with a capital T if you're referring to your own religion. You must use a small t. So I said, that's it lah. I said, I'm going to boycott you until I die or you die.
Just to stay on that point, just one more sort of follow-up question on that.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think Bahasa Malaysia cannot be used, but Bahasa Melayu can be used?
No, I would say Bahasa Malaysia can be used.
No, you would say that, but according to DPP, why do you think they are doing it?
Their argument was that, well, in the constitution it says Bahasa Melayu. I said, well, in 1970, the Prime Minister, the Cabinet decided that the term should be Bahasa Malaysia. So that's what I'm using. And indeed, in 2006, if I'm not mistaken, the cabinet decided that the term Bahasa Malaysia should be used. It was in the press, all that. So it was very interesting. But then after a few years, people started going back to the term Bahasa Melayu. I said, well, it's your right. You can stay with your right. I'm not going to argue, but I'm going to use the term Bahasa Malaysia.
It's interesting when you bring up that whole, because I actually read that blog post you made about the word Tuhan.
Okay.
It sounds as if systemically they are trying to ingrain certain notions in the minds of the youth, right? That means Tuhan it's so deliberate, and when I hear that, I keep thinking that means whatever you're talking in the political arena doesn't matter as long as if you don't resolve issues like this.
You see, it's the same pattern which happened in 2011 with the interlock novel issue. It's interesting. I have the right to speak because I was in the panel which was given the task of editing the novel, the text for the Form 5 text. So there was the word paria in there, which was also done deliberately. Because you see, before I was even in the panel, I was able to read the original version by Abdullah Hussein, the edisi Pelajar, which was published in 2006, if I'm not mistaken, and also the 2010 edition of edisi Murid. So I read all three different versions, and I saw what were the changes made. It's interesting to note that whatever negative elements about the Malays was deliberately taken out. And whatever negative things about the Chinese community remain, and whatever negative about the Indian community remains in the book, in the student edition. So in the panel, when I asked, they said, no, we cannot change anything. And another reason given by Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka at that time was that, our editors went through, we found nothing wrong. I said, yeah, you read as a Malay, you found nothing wrong. We are talking about the sensitivity of the Indians. And even then, that year, we had a few headmistress from a school in Johor who made statements in the school assembly using the term paria. And her argument was, well, we have it in our textbook. So there's nothing. So it was done deliberately so that for the 5 years, we'll have a generation of students going through the syllabus thinking that all Indians in Malaysia are the untouchable caste, which is factually wrong. It was done purposely, I would say. And I would never blame Abdullah Hussein for writing, because he wrote it in 1967 for 10 years of Merdeka. See, that time we didn't have Google, we didn't have Wikipedia, so he just wrote based on what he knew or what people told him during that time. When Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka published the book in 2010 as a student edition, they failed to mention that it is a republished version of a 1968 novel. It says Hak Cipta, copyright 2010. And people have the right to assume this is a new novel by a sastrawan negara. They have all the right to think, that's what it implies. It was done deliberately. I can strongly say it was done deliberately, and thank God they failed to. And the same thing is being done by Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka again now with the term Tuhan. Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka comes under the Ministry of Education. They publish all the textbook for all the schools from Standard 1 to Form 6. So they will not use capital T Tuhan for, if you're talking about non-Muslim religion. And in 5 to 10 years' time, we'll have the whole Malaysian community, non-Malay Muslim community, who will be made to think psychologically that, well, our God is a lesser God.
Because of the
only
lowercase.
Allah is the God. So this is done deliberately.
No, when you're talking about this, it reminds me of George Orwell's book, 1957,
Okay.
where there is 4 ministries mentioned in the book.
Yes.
One of it is the Ministry of Truth.
Yes, 1984.
1984, sorry.
Yeah.
Where in that book, it's 4 ministries. The Ministry of Truth has a fiction department inside.
Yep.
Basically, the name of the ministry is the opposite to what they actually do.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
It's really crazy.
Yep.
Now, back to your book. In the prelude, there's one very interesting line that was written by Amir Muhammad. Right?
Okay.
And this line goes something like this. It says, wait, hold on. I stress that just as politics is too important to be left to politicians, the national language too should stop being identified as the preserve of the Malays. Fantastic line. Really lovely. So on that note, I want to go into the organization that you started, which is called Kavian, which is an association of Indian writers who publish in Malay.
Yeah.
What was the reason for you to form this organization?
Okay. We started that in 1999. One issue which triggered was the Bahasa Malaysia term. Then we said that I was already in a few associations, writers association, where it'll be 100% Malays, and there'll be one Chinese, one Indian, not in the committee, you remember. Then I said, we have to show that we are also part of the national literature scenario, Sastra Kebangsaan. We are part of it, we are contributing, and it needs to be recognized. But if you are only part of PENA, Persatuan Polis Nasional Malaysia, or GAPENA, or any persatuan which is predominantly Malays, you have no say, and you cannot prove, or you cannot highlight to show that you exist. You're just the 11th after the 10th, or the 21st after the 20th. So you say, okay, since we have a small group, let's work on something. And we came up with earlier name was Kumpulan Sastrawan Kavian, Kavian Writers Group. We got together, we formed it, and we went ahead with our activities where we promote Bahasa Malaysia language. We encourage Indian writers to write in Bahasa Malaysia, but our activities are all in Bahasa Malaysia. It's open to everybody. Either our reading event, or we have our creative writing workshops. It's not only for Indians, it's open for everyone. We want to show that Indian writers are also able to lead the way. We are able to write about Indians in Bahasa Malaysia. And we are also able to write better than most Malays.
Now, of course, you write a lot about surrounding the Indian community. While you do write in Bahasa Malaysia, you basically majority of it is about the Indians.
Okay.
So on that note, your blog is also, I would guess, equally famous as your books. I loved a lot of your posts, and I was reading it a few days ago.
Okay.
But I want to touch that because you brought it up as well. You are very critical of Tamil schools. This is a topic that is oftentimes discussed in the political arena. What are you critical about? I mean, what is it about Tamil schools that you think need improvement or that you have issue with?
Okay. I have been in contact with Tamil schools since 2004. We conduct Bahasa Malaysia programs. Because you see, in the Malaysian scenario, we have Tamil schools. You see, I'm not against Tamil school. If anybody, like Gapina brought a case in court to get rid of vernacular schools, I said, no, you don't have the right. Tamil school, Chinese school has the constitutional right to exist. My concern is, like, when I go to Tamil schools, I conduct Bahasa programs, I see the scenario, I said there are things missing which need to be corrected so that there'll be, and then in 2016, there was a big campaign, Tamil school, our choice. Tamil Palliye Nam Terva, Sekolah Tamil Pilihan Kita. They wanted more Indians or Tamil people to send their children to Tamil school. When I was reading that, I said, okay, why do you have to do such a PR? If your school is good, parents are going to start sending their kids to Tamil school. So look into what has to be improved in the Tamil school. So I came up with 10 points, which I wrote in an article in the Malaysian Insider. That became an issue. 2 days later, it was republished on the first page of Tamil Nation. Of course, they did not highlight everything. They just took 2 points out of the 10. They took 2 points. 1 point was about UPSR. I mentioned from Tamil school, they get very good marks for the UPSR, including for Bahasa Malaysia subject. But once they go to Form 1, they start lagging. They can't do well in the Bahasa subject. And once your Bahasa is not good, you're going to go down in all the other subjects. So there is something. You have to look into that for the UPSR result. And then for the exams, how they are getting good results in UPSR overall, but why can't they perform once they go to Form 1? Is it because of the language, or is it because there's something hinky-panky happening in the Tamil school scenario, which is actually true anyway. So Tamil newspaper, Tamil Nation, in January 2016, they highlighted that Uthaya is saying Tamil schools cheat in UPSR to get good results. I said, well, okay, that's your mentality. So it was hoo-ha. Some guys from MIC started calling me, oh, you write rubbish, blah, 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 blah. I was happy, and then Makalose was
You were
highlighting.
happy.
Yeah, I was happy. I mean, it says that means that I've written something good,
Yes, that people take note of.
and people would definitely go back to the original article in Bahasa Malaysia, because this newspaper article is in Tamil, which is like you pick 2 points, you combine, and you come up with your own story. So Makalose said that, oh, we must make police reports, minimum 1,000 police reports. We must take him to court. After a week, 0 police reports were made, which is sad, lah. Which is sad. But still, my argument was still that, well, the 10 points that I gave is for you to improve your Tamil school education. And then there was a few Tamil writers group, Vallinam. They came up with their own campaign. We must stop Uthaya and Kavian from going to Tamil school because they are encouraging Bahasa. This is a Tamil school. We must only do Tamil activities. Yes, it happens. But it doesn't matter for me. I mean, I'm still, until now, I'm still doing a Bahasa Malaysia program in Tamil schools. It's giving benefit to the students. It's giving benefit to the teachers, because I also conduct programs especially for the Tamil school teachers, how they can use edutainment, how to encourage students to read and to write better in Bahasa Malaysia. So it's positive vibe. Yeah, I tell them that you're very good in Tamil. I've got nothing against it. Please stay good in Tamil. But remember that the moment you go to Form 1, you have to be able to express yourself in Bahasa Malaysia. Yeah. We bring Tamil school students to events where Pak Samad side is there, and I tell the kids, please take photo with Pak Samad, and when you're in Form 1 and Form 2, proudly tell your teachers, your Bahasa teachers, that I've attended events with Pak Samad.
Yeah, definitely.
Make yourself proud that you are. It doesn't mean that you're from a Tamil school, or if you're an Indian, you're a second grade. No, you are better than everyone else.
No, it's important now more than ever, because recently we saw that 10,000 students have skipped their SPM paper, which means they won't have an SPM certificate.
Yeah, but we cannot question that, because it'll stress the students and they might commit suicide.
Yeah, we have to be careful. We have to be careful. Now, of course, I want to get to the book.
Okay.
This is a book that is a collection of many lovely stories, as I mentioned, and each story tackles a different theme.
Yeah.
Right? You start off, for example, talking about arranged marriages, then you go to family values, gender roles in the household, and all that stuff. You even talk very nicely about how the wife is the Lakshmi of the house, which is an ancient cultural thing that we have. So, how did you decide what theme and what story to compile in this book?
You see, for this book, I write predominantly in Bahasa Malaysia, for the simple reason that if I were to write in Tamil, only certain group can read. If I were to write in English, not everybody can read. If I write in Bahasa Malaysia, anybody under 60 years old have no excuse to say that I cannot read, tak boleh baca. You're a Malaysian, you must have a basic Bahasa Malaysia, because I use very simple Bahasa Malaysia. So for this book, some of my friends like Dr. Lalita Sinha, she wanted to translate some of my stories just for the fun of it, because she's a certified translator. She translated 2 stories. Then another friend, Praglat Kumar, he translated 1. Then I also have already translated 2 of my stories before. So I said, okay, since they were telling me, let's come up with a booklet. And then I have Malaysian friends telling me, hey, your books are in Malay. If English can, I can read. So I said, okay, since this is what you want, I said, okay, let's have 10 or 11 stories translated into Bahasa Malaysia, since I already have a few done. And then Dr. Lalita was interested. I said, okay, I'll do 2 more. She did. And then I asked on Facebook, anybody interested, choose the story that you love. I don't want to give you a story and ask you to translate. I want you to choose a story that you like. So they chose their favorite story. And then whichever was not picked, which I think is good to be translated in English, I translated myself. And I think we have 11 stories in there.
Yeah, lovely story.
So that's why the themes are different. It varies from the stories written in 1992.
The Mahabharata and all that.
Yeah, that was published in 2003, if I'm not mistaken, the Mahabharata story. And then the Nayagi story was written in 1991. So you get like 20 years or 30 years of stories selected and retold. I mean, I don't use the word translated, I say transcreated. Because I told the translators that you don't have to translate word by word. write it the way that it has to speak in English. So even when I translated my stories, I did not stick 100% to the way it was written in Bahasa.
Now, you talked just now about how early on in your career you were writing about other faiths, other religions,
Oh,
right?
yes.
I am a fan of such works because if you look at the Western Hemisphere of the world, in fact, even on the Eastern side, years before, in fact, I had a guest recently, Professor Dr. Shahid Alatas, who made that example of Al-Biruni. I've not read the particular book, but he claims that there is this book where he wrote it on Hindu culture. Nowadays, especially in Malaysia, and with the way race and religion is sort of every time it's used as a weapon, as an instigator, people don't really analyze other cultures.
Yep.
Has this contributed to us building even taller walls between each community, and also perhaps limited the growth of understanding of each culture on the other?
Yeah, again, it's done deliberately. Everything goes back to politics, I would say. Politicians. Because they need to divide and rule. If the Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists are united, how are you going to get your vote? How are you going to tell them that I'm here to help you? How are you going to tell the Malays that I'm here to protect you, my Malays? And how are you going to tell the Indians, I'm here to protect you, Indians or Tamil culture? You have to divide. You have to make sure they don't interact. And the easiest way is say, you blame the British. Please, don't blame the British. They've gone so long ago. We are under Malaysia now. Malaysians are the politicians. A Malaysian is a prime minister at the moment. So it's you decide what can be done. Do not blame the British for this. So when I was growing up, I was born in 72, so I was schooling in 79, started in 79. I had a wonderful childhood where we did not look at people as a Malay, Indian, Chinese. We look at people as friends. Indeed, last year, November, I made a documentary. Yes, I'm also into documentary now.
Yes, I saw that. Of Lorong...
Kenangan di Lorong B.
Lorong B, yes.
That's where I grew up. So I said, since the old people are dying off, I said, it has to be documented. I'm a writer, I write, but I wanted their voice to be heard. So I made a documentary, where the people whom I interviewed also mentioned that, yes, we do not look at races and religion. We are here as a community. That's what we need. But the politicians are very clever. They know that, no, this cannot go on. So that's why we have rules and regulations saying that, no, you cannot touch this. I wouldn't blame the 3R. That is, it has to be there to control, to tell you that you're going beyond. But then if you take a person to Bukit Aman for quoting a hadith sahih, that's something stupid, I would say. I would still stress that it's something stupid. It's going to be a black mark for Bukit Aman, actually. When I was growing up, you see, as a writer, as you mentioned, I was also writing about Malay community. I was writing about Islam community. I was a columnist in the Dakwah magazine.
Dakwah magazine?
Dakwah magazine. I was a columnist there.
Okay.
So I write, when I write a Malay character, I make sure he's 100% Muslim. I'll make sure. It's not like, he's actually an Indian who pretends to be a Muslim. No. It'll be a
I think
proper,
there are some people like that we've had in our country.
Yes. So it'll be a proper Muslim story. And if it's an Indian Hindu character, then it'll be proper Indian Hindu character. And that's when DVB comes in and say, one of my story, which is also translated in here, Chitra Paunami, it was initially approved for publication. Then they decided, no, we cannot publish it because there's Hindu element. Because the grandmother is a Hindu, the grandson is a Hindu, they're celebrating Chitra Paunami. Of course, they can't be celebrating Hari Raya Haji, right? They have to celebrate Chitra Paunami. Chitra Paunami has his own myth, his story is the way that you do your prayers. It's in the story. But then the deputy editor decided to not publish it. Of course, being me, I took the story to the Attorney General, Ketua Pengarah of Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka. He read, he said, there's nothing wrong, you must have it published. So they published it on their face.
Well done, Uthaya. Now let's get to the title of this. Now I've had the luck to interview a lot of authors in Malaysia, especially I've interviewed all of them have been Malaysian authors. And I would say the most eye-catching title, the best title of a book I've seen belongs to Mr. Tanjit Singh, who wrote the book on a fictional book on Sarawakian lore and ancient mythology and the title of the book is Abandoned Gods. I said, this is just the best title. I mean, it caught my eye in the bookstore. Yours is the most unique title I've ever read in my life. Okay, that crown goes to you.
Thank you.
So the book is called The Painted Cat. Why The Painted Cat?
See, as we know, these stories are translated from Bahasa. The original title is CAT.
Okay.
What is CAT?
Cat.
Cat. Or is it chat?
Okay.
Okay, and it comes in a series of 3 stories. There's another one, the title is LIAR.
Liar.
Could be liar.
It could be liar as well.
Yes. And there's another story called AIR.
Okay, could be AIA.
It could be IA. So the story of the AIR is about a guy who goes into the river. He wants to stay there, make a Malaysian book of record of not inhaling air. He goes into IA, so the play there. As for the Liar, it's about a lawyer who's a liar, just like the Liar Liar movie. Okay? And then for the original title CAT, it's about a kucing whom the family calls cat. And they say, well, you can't argue because people call their dogs tiger or lion. Why can't I call my kucing cat? And the cat is put in a bottle, and they pour some paint, and it changes color. So there's cat, there's paint, there's chat.
Painted cat.
So that's why. So the English title, if I were to still remain cat, too short lah. So
The Painted Cat.
The Painted Cat.
Lovely. Now, again in this book, of course, that if you look at the cover, you'll notice that the title has the Malaysian flag in it. And in your book, in the stories here, the theme of multiculturalism is a commonality. There are many supporting characters in the stories who are from different races. Why is this such a strong element in this book?
Because that's how I grew up, and that's the reality of Malaysia. And also because people assume when you enter any contest, they say, oh, mesti menunjukkan, you must show the multiracial Malaysian. Suddenly they have one Mutu, you'll have one Asing, and you'll have one
Raju.
And they'll be working together.
Yeah.
They'll sort of like have equal airtime with the Malay character having more lah. Since it's a Malay story. My idea of a national literature, which also has been discussed since the 1970s under our Dasar Sastra Kebangsaan, like Ismail Hussein from the Gapena, he said that, or Anwar Rida, all the writers, they mentioned that when you're writing in Bahasa Malaysia, it doesn't mean that you have to write about Malays. Even Abdullah Hussein mentioned that. You don't have to write about Malays. If you're an Indian, write about something that you know. You don't have to fake it to write a Malay story, which is not going to resonate well with the readers because you don't know the Malay Muslim life or what they are actually going through. It's going to be very superficial and it's going to be very much like, very bombastic. Oh, they're very nice. And maybe they minum arak, then at the end they sembayang, which looks very fake in a story. If you're an Indian, write about your culture because this is Sastra Kebangsaan, national literature. It's not Malay literature. National literature should portray the national theme of the various people who are in Malaysia. Of course, we must also remember Sabah and Sarawak, right? Include that. So that's why in my story, like Naigi's story, it's the story about a Malayali family, an Indian family. Of course, you have the Jiran who just makes a komio and that's it. They won't come and help you. Oh, let me help you with your problem. No, nothing. Which happens in most Tamil dramas in Malaysia. Yeah. Suddenly one Pakcik or Pak Haji will come and he will help to solve the problem. No, that doesn't happen in my stories. He's there if he's needed to show that they are living in a multi-racial community, that they are Malays. But the story is about an Indian family. So let me focus on that. Like in the Chitra Paunami story, you don't see any Malay characters or Chinese characters or Buddhist characters coming in because the story is about that grandmother and the grandson. That's it. Even the father and mother doesn't come. They just mentioned they've gone off to a temple. That's it.
Yeah. One of the stories that I really liked was the first story, which is the Mistress of Destiny.
Okay.
I just loved it for a few reasons.
Okay.
I loved that one scene in the story where there is a juxtaposition between what's happening in this household, where Madhavi, the main character, is being forced into marrying the person she doesn't want, and then the story suddenly just shifts, cut to the next scene where the person she wants to marry is at a rally,
Yes.
right? And I just want to read out that quote because I think it's a really fantastic quote. It says, "To free a country, the people must be independent. Women must gain independence before men could become independent. Women need to leave Kerala in search of Sakala. How could the people of a nation be free if the mothers who bore them lacked freedom?" That's a fantastic paragraph. I just love that part. Now, do you think, and I've not really touched this topic on this podcast, do you think that modern Indian women, as compared to what is trying to be portrayed here, in the traditional sense, are they free?
Well, at the same time that I wrote this story, I also wrote another story, which is Wanita, women. A story about an Indian woman, a Hindu woman, who get rid of a maiden name, and she uses her husband's name, Ramachandran. She wants to be known as Mrs. Ramachandran because that is the peak of feminism. That's the peak of the American freedom fight. See, so there are two contrasts. Here, Nayagi, in this story, the Mistress of Destiny, I'm saying that a woman needs freedom. The basic freedom is to choose whom she wants to marry. Then you can talk about the freedom of the community, freedom of the nation, free your country from the British. But let's go back to the basic of your freedom. And on the other side, we have women who say that, I don't want to use my name. Please call me Mrs. Ramachandran. See? So I wrote about both. And for Nayagi's story, I've read stories by Indian writers where the story will be about also Tamil stories where Tamil people who come from Tamil Nadu here, they always look at India or Tamil Nadu as their motherland. They even refer to it as Uru, Kampung. When people talk about Kampung, my Kampung is Taiping. I don't talk about Kerala as my Kampung. And in Saroja Devi's story, for example, Kandasamy, she writes about one main character, Kandasamy, who is still thinking of going back to India because he still claims that is his motherland. And I'm totally against it. I say, if you're born in Malaysia, if you're a Malaysian, then you're a Malaysian. That's where Nayagi's story comes in, where the grandfather, Kumara Gurunatha, says that, well, I came from India, but this is now the land of my children and my grandchildren. You don't have to go back. You don't have to look at India or Kerala as your motherland. Be yourself. Be a Keralite. Be a Malayali. But of course, the term Malaysia was not there. This story happens in 1950, I think. So you belong to this country, even though before the independence. So that's the idea that I wanted to bring in to tell Indians that you have to realize that you're a Malaysian first. At the same time, be proud of your where you came from, your culture, your identity, your religion, and all that.
Before I sort of give my opinion on that, and perhaps I would like to hear what you feel about that. But again, just I want to finish the story because I really liked it, and I love the ending of it. I love how she walks. She's basically in this story. She's taking care of her baby, and that's the guy who she's supposed to marry, right? The man who is the father, and I think the mother is not there. I can't remember for what reason.
She died.
Yes, there we go. She died.
She died giving birth.
Right, okay, there we go. Look at me. I can't remember stories I read. But I like the ending where the baby is crying, they're having this argument, and then she walks in. And of course, it has elements of the Tamil drama where the one lady says, no, if you either let that baby die or
typical Tamil movie.
And I love that. I love it. I'm a sucker for Tamil serials. I love it. It's so relaxing. And she goes in, and then the baby stops crying, and then she comes out and says, I will take care of this is my brother-in-law. As to say that I'm choosing to marry who I want to marry, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This is a very powerful statement because I'm just trying to wonder if you wrote this story with the thought that your destiny is in your hands, just like the title of the story, that she needs every woman or man is the master of their own faith and should not abide by another person's whim and fancy. Is that the outcome?
Yeah, that's you got it.
Okay. Another story that I cannot get the outcome of.
Good.
Which
That's
is
good.
a story of the parrot. where the story is taken from the viewpoint of a parrot. And it's in this household where, if I'm not mistaken, the sister and her daughter live with the brother. But the brother has a wife and family. Her name is Yashoda.
Okay.
And the story again is very Tamil drama, but I loved it because the main the sort of antagonist, who is Yashoda, is holding the hair of the child and saying, "You stole my 50 ringgit, stole my 50 ringgit, where's 50 ringgit, blah blah blah," and all that.
That's where the story starts in it.
Yeah, and then she says, "No, I didn't steal it," and all that. Interestingly,
don't reveal too much, lah.
but I just want to get the idea.
Okay.
But then this whole conversation carries on, and at the end, interestingly, then you see Yasoda going to the room and putting 50 ringgit under the pillow of the girl.
No, she put something under the pillow.
Oh, it's not the 50 ringgit. Oh yeah, because the parent sees that, right?
Yeah.
So, he's able to know.
She's putting something under the pillow, yeah.
But then the girl puts in 50 ringgit into the cage
cage.
of the parrot, where there is a compartment where only she and the parrot know. What were you trying to tell by this sort of comparison between two outcomes, where one's trying to prove that this girl stole, the other actually stole?
Okay. As you mentioned, it's very much Tamil drama, right? It is very much Tamil. In the story, the parrot will say that, wow, the way they're speaking is like they're watching too many Tamil movies. Indeed, the parrot says, the way they're discussing is like Tamil movie. And the parrot also has the chance of watching Tamil movies from the cage. It's a very much, I wanted to make it, even the original Bahasa story is Sebuah Cerita Biasa. What's the English title?
An ordinary tale.
An ordinary tale.
Yeah.
The tale, of course, the Tail, tail, ekor lah.
Yeah.
Okay, so so it's a very, very, very much, if you're reading typical Tamil drama, where the name Yashoda is the mother who took care of Krishna. But here, no, she's
the opposite.
And then we have the Kannamma, the very typical mother, very old. Oh, she'll go say, "Oh, please don't hurt my daughter." What's the daughter's name? Forgot lah.
Kamana or something. Starts with K.
Kannamma or something.
Yeah.
Karpagam.
Karpagam, yes, Karpagam.
Yes, Karpagam. And then the brother.
We were so off.
So the brother will be going to jog in the morning. Then he come back, what's happening? Then say, okay, money missing. She says, 50 ringgit which I kept to buy new sari. Then say, let's go look. So the story is from the inside the cage. The bird, it's based on what it can see. So they'll go up in the room. The bird can hear them talking. He can't see. The bird can't see. So they'll say, okay, please look here. Hey, Yasoda, Kannamma, don't just stand there. Look under the bed. Then the bird will see Yashoda coming down. The bird will see Yashoda going into the room. Then the bird will see Karpagam coming down. The bird will see what Karpagam is doing. And for the bird, Karpagam is the most innocent, trustworthy kid in the whole world, in the bird's world. Because the bird only knows Yashoda. The bird only knows Ravi. I think that's his name, Ravi, who bought the bird. So for the bird, this is like the best human can be.
Yeah.
But
because
then
she feeds him on time and all that.
Yeah,
kind of stuff,
and gives extra and talks to the bird and all that. But the end, it's to show that when we are looking into human, you cannot always say that they are good or bad. There's a gray area. So that's what the story reflects. It's just a simple story to reflect, to say that not everything is as you see. There might be something other than that. There could be like Karpagam tries to tell the bird, do you want to know why I stole this money?
Which is never said in the story, though.
Yeah, because it's not
frustratingly,
needed.
by the way.
Yeah, it's up to you to decide why did you steal the money. Yeah.
Also in this story, as you mentioned, they sort of the bird sort of points this, blames these actions on Tamil movies or Tamil series, right? Now, I have heard this excuse being used a lot of times by many people. They say Tamil movies are bad. That's why our children are doing this, doing that. Are they right in saying that?
We are going back to Tamil movies from Tamil Nadu, lah.
Yes.
Okay, then it's an entirely different industry, which is also proven, supported by gangsterism. If you watch Tamil movies for the past 2 years, the hero will be either a gangster or will behave like a gangster. You could be a policeman in that story, but you are still a gangster. That's what has been portrayed. So it's done deliberately, just very much like what Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka does. It's not unintentionally. It's intentionally done to portray that to be a hero, you have to use violence. You cannot go by the dharma, do good. Don't go by the law. You must break the law. Even if you are part of the law, you must break the law. You must take revenge. You must kill. This has been around story since the 60s. But now it's highlighted that the hero is deliberately doing it. There's been a lot of blood. It's done deliberately to mold the society that this is what you have to do. Like, we always, Malaysians love to blame budaya kuning dari Amerika. Pornography. Oh, they're using this to weaken us. But you're sitting there and watching. Don't blame them. Right? Same thing happening in Tamil movies. It's done because they're funding the movies. Of course, you want your ideology to be. You can't be a gangster cannot be promoting a movie or funding a movie which talks about religious Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. You want to highlight that gangsterism is the way of life, right? So let's assume we have a Indian company here who runs. Let's say they do express bus, for example, okay. So they want to fund the movie. Definitely, they want to have to show many scenes of bus in the movie because that's the whole idea. But they want to show the hero is a bus driver, not auto driver. So they show the hero is a bus driver. Why? Because we are sponsoring the movie. We want it to be there, product placement and everything. So then now the movies are more accessible to everybody. Last time, when we were kids, it's a family affair. There'll be one movie every Saturday on RTM. The whole family will be sitting and watching the movie, and the movies are decently censored, lah. Okay, so it's a family entertainment. But like now with the OTT and everything, even if the movie is banned in Malaysia because it's against Islam, you can still watch the movie. And you're not sitting and watching with the family. It's not a family affair. It's individual. You're watching it, and there's no one to guide you. And you believe Malaysian Tamil people, being Tamil people, they believe everything which is in the movie. This doesn't only happen in Tamil Nadu among the Vijay and Ajit Kumar or Rajinikanth fans. It also happens here. They believe that whatever that Rajinikanth does is correct. If he kills, yes, that's correct. Rajinikanth can do it, so why can't I? I think that's that. They think that is
just adding to the list of people who may not like you now. Now the Tamils.
Yeah, I'm already in the list, so don't worry. Or Rajinikanth fans.
Rajinikanth fans. Those are the most diehard.
Yeah, and then you see, it's deliberately done that the community thinks that to be a hero, the real heroism is being against gangster. You terrorize people. You become a terrorist. Right? You don't show love. Of course, in the movie, the hero will suddenly love his younger sister so much, but that'll be just for maybe 5 minutes. That's it until the sister dies. Then violence, revenge. Right? It'll be so lovey-dovey for the mother. Oh, Amma. There'll be song, Amma, and all that. The mother will die. Then revenge.
But again, coming back to your earlier point, if we can't blame the British for all the wrongs that have happened and sort of the sort of ripple effect to today, why do we blame Tamil movies for what's happening to our youth?
Hey, I'm not blaming Tamil movies. I'm telling this is the scenario.
But so you're saying that we are the ones who make the choice.
Yeah, you see, everything, like let's say there are some religious books here. It's your choice whether you want to pick the book and read. If you like it, you read. A parent can't force it. So in a situation now, we can't expect that. We will always say, parents, ibu bapa karangan. If you write a karangan, so ibu bapa, parents must do this, do that. Parents are not sitting at home. Mothers are not sitting at home 24 hours to look after their children. Their children are going to school. They're coming back, or going for tuition class. They are spending their time alone at home. Of course, it's unfair to blame the mother. Oh, you're not being a good mother. You're not looking after the kids, which is traditionally a mother's role, traditionally Tamil Indian traditional role. But the situation is such when we're looking at the urban setting of the Indians, especially the urban poor Indians, you have to, both parents must work. Worse still if you're a single mother or a single parent. You have to work double shift, for example. there's nobody to take care of the children, and everything is interlinked. This is when the politics of gangsterism, I purposely use the word politics of gangsterism, comes in there, because they need to recruit people. They need people. Right? You need your kaki pukul.
Your enforcers.
So these are the easy target. Give them some money because they have nothing else to do. Maybe you must have given them free ticket to go and watch latest Rajinikanth movie.
What is your issue with Rajinikanth?
Example.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
I'm promoting Rajinikanth's latest movie, which is coming soon, I think.
Now, as I was talking to you before we start, there is one story that focuses on the family values. I think it's called New Year's something. I can't remember the exact title.
Doa Tahun Baru. New Year's wish, I think.
Something like that. So basically, it centers around a very practice which I love, which I went through as a child as well, where, I'm sure you guys have felt it as well, where your parents will cover your eyes and then open your eyes to the altar. That's the first thing you must see in the new year and all that. Especially if you are a Malayali, then you will go through it. Do you add these elements into your stories because of the fact that perhaps as a way to remind people, because it may be getting lost in time?
Yeah, you already answered. You see, I read a lot. When I read about this culture, because you see, as you mentioned, in the Malayali culture, we have that. The Tamils also have it, but I have not quite seen it being practiced. I say, okay, somebody has to remind. I can't wait for someone outside to remind lah, because he doesn't know. Fair enough. So since I'm able to write, let me highlight in the story. It's a family story about the love of a mother with the children, the twins there, Raghu and Rama.
Yeah.
I say, okay, I'm not going to make it a Malayali family. It would have worked 100% well if it's a Malayali family, but I wanted to make it a Tamil family so that I can highlight the Tamil culture of celebrating the New Year. It was done deliberately to document so that, let's say, it was written in 1992. How many years ago? 20 over years. 30 years. 30 over years ago.
30 over years, yeah, wow, yeah.
Oh my God, I feel old. So
I feel the same as you.
So if a child reads it now, let's assuming that in that modern Tamil family, they don't practice this celebration, the child will know, oh, they like, hey, mother. They call mommy lah. Mommy, how come we don't do this? And the mother can blame the grandmother lah. Your grandmother never taught us. Okay, so at least it'll remind them that well, this is actually our culture. It's documented in Bahasa Malaysia. If it's documented in a Tamil story or an English story, there's nothing great quote unquote. It's understandable if it's documented in a Tamil story or an English story written by either Malaysian Tamil or somebody from India. There's nothing great, quote unquote. The moment it's written in Bahasa Malaysia, it's accessible to everybody. If a Malay reader thinks that, oh, we celebrate Muharram, what do you Tamils celebrate? Nah, read this. So you have something to show. It's documented there.
Yeah.
So the celebration it's a fiction, but the facts are there.
Yeah.
That's how it's celebrated.
Your work, I think, has a lot of commonality with what was done before. When I talk about what was done before, I think what was done centuries ago, right? In the sense that you had retellings, translations, reinterpretation, or reimagination of ancient stories. One very good example is the Ramayana.
Yeah.
The Ramayana is there's hundreds of different versions across India.
Yeah.
For example, there's some versions where Sita is the Vishnu. Other versions, Rama and Sita are the Vishnu.
Yeah.
Other versions, Ravan is the Vishnu.
Yeah.
Right? So there's many different versions. There's even a version of Ramayana that is where they are all Muslim. You can find this in Indonesia as well as in Kerala as well. Now, in today's world, why is it that this phenomenon has sort of died away? The reimagining, the retelling of these ancient stories.
One is in Indonesia, it's still very much alive. In Malaysia, no, because we are trying to abandon or to forget or disregard the fact that this country was Hindu Buddhist religion practicing country. We try to forget, because when we speak to students, or what we learn in our book, everything starts with Kesultanan Melayu Melaka, or even for that matter, from the point where one of those guys suddenly becomes a Muslim. That's where the story starts. But if you were to look into Sejarah Melayu, it talks about Raja Suran going under the sea and the three guys coming in Bukit Meru, Seguntang in Sumatra, then Parameswara, who's a Melayu. Okay, Parameswara is the typical Melayu guy who's a Hindu, who came to Temasek, then who came to Malacca and opened Malacca. But those stories are not being highlighted now. We only start with one of the Sultan who becomes a Muslim. That's where history starts. We abandon the Buddhist element. We abandon the Hindu element. We abandon the fact that the Malays came from Sumatra. See, so
even Thailand, Philippines,
that
was all the entire thing was the Malay archipelago.
Yeah. So this is the way we deliberately get rid of things that we don't want people to know. For example, if you were to read a Sastra Melayu book now, you don't have Munshi Abdullah. When I was studying, we had Munshi Abdullah as the Bapa Kesusastra Melayu. But now somebody else is there, who's an Indonesian, of course. It's not Munshi Abdullah, because Munshi Abdullah, they found out, is a Indian Muslim, Mama Keling. He's not a Melayu. And he was very vocal. Yeah. He was criticizing the Malay. So how can you have a Bapa Kesusastra Melayu modern who has darah India, who has the Indian blood, and who is brave enough to criticize the Malays? Cannot.
I've always marveled at this approach or reaction to our history. As a Hindu, I just take a Hinduism example. I am very well aware that in the ancient Vedic traditions of Hinduism, there were no temples.
Yep, exactly.
Right?
In the Veda, there's no mentioning about
nothing,
temples.
Right? In Hinduism, as it is in Greek mythology, you have this sort of old gods being replaced by new gods, right? And all this. For example, if you read the book by Dr. Farishno, What Your Teacher Didn't Tell You, he very beautifully illustrates the evolution of the Kharis, how it started off. It was actually mentioned in the Mahabharata. It's a weapon of beam.
Yes.
Right, and then it comes to Malaysia at that time, and then it morphs is something else. When Islam comes in, then it changes the designs. It's not a taking over or a belittling of the past. It's a building on what has already been there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've asked many people this, but I've not really gotten a good answer. Why is it that in Malaysia we are so afraid of just saying, "Oh, this was our past"? When our neighbors, Indonesia, the largest Muslim country in the world, do it seamlessly, but we cannot.
Yeah. See, going back to the Kharis, when I was in secondary school, I remember reading books where they talk about the history of Kharis. It's mentioned that the Hindu element is there. Of course, I didn't buy the book, can I afford? But when I was in university, when I was looking into books, that part is there. It's vanished. That link is not there. It starts with Indonesia. Jawa. The Hindu element is taken away. It's destroyed. It's no more there. So that's why history is rewritten. Just like our Malaysian history textbook in school is rewritten, that you only need to know this bit. You don't need to know the whole story.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Even I had no idea that Hang Tuah had a different life where after his warrior days, he became an ambassador. He could speak Tamil.
Yes.
So all these things are not there. I mean, it's we could have another podcast about this, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Now, just want to get your thoughts on this. So obviously, as we said very early on, you were detained for a day for insulting Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
And although, as you put in the blog, or I think I read in your blog or in this book, where you said, although no proof was found, and you were later released and without charges, right? Now, going back to this, when we see such attitudes that Malaysia may have on freedom of expression, freedom of thought, if we use this approach to analyze every book ever published across the world, you and I would not have read books like Animal Farm, because in Animal Farm, for example, you are representing leaders as pigs, right? Which would be, apa ni? I mean, don't say it, Uthaya.
Well, I wrote a blog post about that.
Okay, I'll read it. Now, do you think that what does this attitude do to you as a creative person?
Yep.
We are talking about the sort of the sort of demise or the sort of the lack of quality in Malaysian arts and culture, our movies, our whatever.
Yeah.
What does this attitude do to that?
Okay, you see, one of my collection of essays in 2015, Malayur Manikam, the moment it was published, people were angry. The Malay group, the Patriots, I think, that Malay-centric group, they were dead against it because their leader bought a book. The book, it took a photo of the cover. He said, this book degrades Malays. He did not read. His followers did not read. They wanted the book to be banned. Of course, it did not get banned. Interestingly, another group, Indian group, Chandrakumanan, Chandrakumanan, who's a politician, I think, from...
Oh, yes, I heard him on the podcast.
Oh, interesting. Good. You should have asked him about the book. He wanted the book to be banned. They sent a letter, a memo to the Kementerian Dalam Negeri Negara, some name. They didn't say Malaysia there. I got a copy of the letter. They wanted the book to be banned for the reason that Uthaya is not a Hindu scholar. He's not a qualified Hindu activist. Or
what makes you qualified?
Maybe he must be a member of PPP lah, my PPP. Then you're qualified. Yeah. Not Malaysia Hindu Sangam also. So they gave a letter and I was waiting for the book to be banned. It's not banned till now. So it's not banned.
Okay.
Sad.
Unfortunately.
Sad.
Tragically, it's not banned.
Tragically.
You can still buy it.
Yeah. See, and in my writings, I always say that God has given me the gift of writing, not just to praise the political leader or praise anybody. No, to provoke, to make. I say that the role of a writer to make people think. To make people think, you have to provoke. Like for example, when I wrote about Tamil school, these are the 10 points that you have to look into if you want to improve Tamil school. It's there. You might have. You might not have understood it clearly. Let me put it in words so that you can know these are the issues which you have to tackle to improve Tamil school. In another book, 2022, which was published in February, before I was detained, Suvarna Bhumi, there are at least six articles purely about Islam. The book is not banned yet. Maybe we must wait for 10 more years. So
or maybe G16, they'll dig it up.
Yeah, hopefully. So there I wrote about dogs. What do the Arabs say now about dogs? What does the Quran actually say about dogs? What does the Hadith actually say about dogs? It's there. The article is there. Another one is about pork and pigs. Does it actually say anything about that in the Quran and the Hadith? It's there. The articles, it's in the book. It's not banned, said. And then there are other articles about Hadith, about Quran, where I quote the Hadith and all that. So that's why I was surprised when they came to my house and these posts, I say, Alamak, I wrote so many other things. Why for this silly matter? Well, then even during the interview, I mentioned I've written all this. It must be in the report, in the official IO's report. But I was hoping for them to get a copy, buy a copy on Shopee maybe, or from me, get the book banned. But no, they didn't do such thing. It's very sad. People are not reading.
They're not doing enough research.
They're only reading what I post on Facebook. They're not reading my books. Then they should. They can really. But anyway, April 12, 2022. I publicly mentioned that I'm leaving Islam in the sense that I'm not going to write anything about Islam. On the 12th day I came out and I said that after this I'm going to concentrate on ajaran sesat. Yeah, Guruji. I've written about Guruji and Guruji before. So I'm writing articles and stories about the deviant teachings, ajaran sesat, Guruji and Guruji, how they are linked to terrorism. The leader of the gangster is Mugundan, a very typical Malayali name, so to say. And I'm still writing. Even yesterday night I was editing a few more stories. which I hope by end of this year I can publish a book of 11 stories which deals with this ajaran sesat Guruji, the gangster Mugudan story, how they are interlinked.
Okay, my goodness. You are always looking to poke the bear. Look at that. Well done.
Well, it's about Hinduism. Who's going to believe me? Oh,
Exactly. Nobody can. Yeah, no one can see anything.
Chandrakumanan, other than Chandrakumanan. You see, speaking about writing about Hinduism, I've retold Mahabharata in Bahasa Malaysia. When I was working on that, I did it in 2 weeks' time actually, which amazed me myself.
My goodness, the Mahabharata in 2 weeks.
No, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita.
Is that shorter? No, it's
shorter.
shorter.
It's part of Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita. For the first time, retold in Bahasa Malaysia. I don't translate. Translation is boring. So I retell the complete story of Bhagavad Gita. I'm not a Hari Rama Hare Krishna follower. I'm not a follower of Prabhupada. Of course, I got calls.
It's part of Hinduism. No, it's just part of
I got calls from Prabhupada's followers, Hari Rama Hare Krishna. Did you get permission from us? I said, why do you own Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, they don't.
I said, Prabhupada did Bhagavad Gita as it is. Let it be as it is. I'm going back to the original Bhagavad Gita. Then another guy goes from, I'm a part of the Hari Rama Hare Krishna. Once your manuscript is done, you must give it to us. We must approve. I said, censored lah. Yeah, I cannot say that. Of course, I quoted some verses from the Bhagavad Gita to answer them, and they couldn't say anything because I quoted Bhagavad Gita. How can they say no? So this happens. So, one guy from the Malaysian Hindu Sangam, when I was retelling Ramayana, he said, how can you retell Ramayana? He said, translate. How can you translate Ramayana in Malay? It's Hindu. This coming from Malaysia Hindu Sangam guy. Office is nearby.
Then it was in Sanskrit, wasn't it? We translated to many languages across the world.
Yeah, one of the guys said, we will not allow you to translate the Tamil text into Bahasa. I say, hello, Bhagavad Gita is originally in Sanskrit. It's not in Tamil. Tamil is the translated version. Same happened when I was working on Kanda Puranam. See, the beauty of Kanda Puranam is that it's originally in Sanskrit from the northern part. Kanda Puranam. The Kandan that you see in Kanda Puranam is not the Murugan that you see in Tamil Nadu, the Tamil Kadavul Murugan, the Tamil god Murugan. They're actually different. Of course, we have the Tamil Kanda Puranam. I forgot the guy who translated, and he edited the story to make it more appealing to the Tamil. So if you were to read the original Kanda Puranam, which is now available in Bahasa Malaysia, you'll be shocked because it's very much different from the Tamil version, which Tamil people in Malaysia think is the original version. How Murugan was born, how long he lived, how many people he married, how many wives he has. In Tamil version is different compared to the original Kanda Puranam in Sanskrit.
Uthaya, perfect way to end this interview. I think you really are a person I would love to have on again to discuss many different topics.
Mm-hmm. Maybe once my books are banned.
That would be next year. So, but guys, I must say, I read this book, The Painted Cat. I love it. It's talking about Indian stories that I think happen in most of our lives, whether now, past, or it's beautiful. It tackles different themes, and you can get it. How do they get this? On your blog? They contact you?
Yep.
Okay, so you can contact Uthaya Sankar at his blog. We'll be sharing his blog links and his social media links, and you guys can get in touch to get a copy for you. It's a very nice book. Thank you so much, Uthaya, for coming on. I truly enjoyed talking to you, man. And
same goes here.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
I will have you on again. Please come on again, definitely. So, guys, that's all we have for you today. Next up, we have many other interviews coming up. The most soonest would be, of course, we are talking to several people on the Malaysians' attitude to marriage. A recent article on Free Malaysia Today quotes it as people are staying away. And we'll be having other guests as well coming on, many other authors, and talking about politics and their books. So till next time, guys, as always, please like, share, subscribe, share your thoughts, and we'll see you soon. Bye.